Mount Panorama, Bathurst. For the 25th consecutive year, teams competing in the Australian Touring Car Championship have gathered at Mount Panorama for the grand finale. Only this year, a new chapter in Bathurst history is about to be written. Network 10 welcomes you to the Primus 1000 Classic, a new 1,000-kilometre enduro every Aussie can be proud to call their own. Less than 8 cylinders and 600 horsepower won't cut it here. A pure one-on-one contest between Faulkner and Commodore. Aussie stars in Aussie cars on the sacred mountain that gave birth to the Bathurst V8 legend. This is more than a motor race. It's a celebration of speed. A 300km/h tribute to the Bathurst greats, our legendary champions. 9 times Bathurst 1000 winner, Peter Brock. 5-time winners, Larry Perkins and Jim Richards. Triple champ, Dick Johnson, and other past winners Bow, Scaife, Longhurst, Ingall, Lowndes and Murphy. Against these greats, outstanding talents yet to claim the mountain's ultimate prize. Glenn Seaton, world champs Jones and Gardner, plus a rising tide of young Aussie-bred racers keen to add their names to an exciting new chapter of Bathurst history. The Primus 1000 Classic. This is Mount Panorama Bathurst, live and exclusive on Network 10.
It is a beautiful day at Bathurst and the sun is shining on this magnificent mountain, but the tranquility won't last for long as the V8s get ready to roar right across the weekend. Hello, I'm Matthew White. Welcome to Network 10's live and exclusive coverage of the Primus 1000 Classic at Bathurst. Yes, the V8 supercars are back at the mountain, back in a classic Ford versus Holden battle, back at the circuit which demands not only skill but also endurance. It's a track which has created some legends of Australian sport, legends like Peter Brock, who this weekend says goodbye to Mount Panorama and to motorsport. And if Brocky's farewell command set a stage, well, there's plenty of support acts as well.
Only once in a decade is a car created that's this good. Designed in Australia, all new from the ground up to give you the edge. The edge in style, in comfort and on the open road. With handling and control like never before. The radically new Holden Commodore gives you the driving edge.
On the circuit, the 10th quickest car from yesterday's qualifying session. It's the Stephen Johnson Craig Baird entry, and Stephen is behind the wheel. The number 18 Shell Helix Falcon going to put down the quickest possible time in the top 10 shootout.
23-year-old Stephen Johnson gets his big crack at the big time once a year. Mount Panorama Bathurst, very important time for Steve, teamed up with Craig Baird, the Kiwi. And this car looking particularly strong as he points it toward the green flag, and he's out on his hot lap.
The thing to keep in mind about Stephen Johnson, other than the Sandown 500 earlier this year, Stephen's only had 2 other drives in a V8 supercar this year. It gives you a real indication of just how talented this young guy is.
Well, he's had plenty of V8 experience too, spent a bit of time in New Zealand in the Trans Am Series. Had a bad smash there last year and broke his knee. Made a very fighting recovery and really pumped for this race as he comes up Mountain Straight. 240 kilometres an hour, braking hard as he swings up the shelf through Repco Bend, trying for a fast, accurate lap.
Stephen had a very anxious moment yesterday heading down into the Caltex chase through one of the earlier qualifying sessions. He had a front left blowout and just continued straight on and went right into the sand trap. He said it was one of the scariest moments in his racing career, but it hasn't deterred him. To give you a benchmark, he set the time of 2 minutes 12.20 yesterday. Keep that time in your mind, 2:12.2. That got him the 10th quickest time. Let's see what Stephen can do this time around.
Yeah, I'm sure Stephen remembered when he went off at Caltex Chase where his father's rear spoiler. I'm sure everybody remembers when that broke going down there. It's the fastest part of the course, and I wouldn't have liked to have been sitting where he was.
Nice, clean, consistent lap so far as he brings it down through the dip up, points it down toward Forest Elbow. Stephen Johnson son of Bathurst winner, multiple Bathurst winner Dick Johnson, points it through Forest Elbow down toward Conrod Straight. Was checked in on the split, 1 minute 26.6 as he came through the elbow, and that'll be a very important time as the other guys come, as that run to the top of the mountain. Very important comparison.
Keep in mind that time I told you earlier on, 2:12.20. That was the time that Steve set yesterday to get the Johnson Baird entry in 10th position as they come on through. You'll see the drivers, the 10 combinations, come out on either scrubbed or fresh tyres. This car is out on a fresh set of tyres. Stephen Johnson heading to put down the best possible time that he can. He's come under the Dunlop Bridge, just one corner left to run. Through Murray's, then it'll be the quick run up to the line to meet the checkered flag. 2:12.20 was the best time for Steve Johnson yesterday. The checkered flag is out.
2:11.6.
Very good. An excellent run there by Steve Johnson. 2:11.62.
I went from third to fourth instead of third to second down the hill, which cost me a bit of time. I didn't hit my tyres up quite enough because I did an 11.3 in the warm-up, but very happy. The car's fantastic, and I think we got a great shot for the Shell Helix team tomorrow.
Second car out on the track for the top 10 shootout. Alan Jones turns 50 this year, the 1980 World Formula One champion. He's got Scotty from the United States driving alongside him this weekend. He heads out on his hot lap.
I would say if anybody can stick the cat amongst the pigeons, I reckon it'll be Jonesy, because he's had a really bad case of the flu and he's been substantially quick all through practice. And I just feel Jonesy's got his eyes on this race. You think of how well he was going last year and had those problems, and time to beat there's 2:11.6. And well, let's hope for Jones. He can do with a bit of luck.
Well, yesterday Alan was quite close to that time. The 9th quickest time, of course, we work in reverse order, 10 down through 1. Jones set the time of 2:11.83, so he's only 0.2 of a second off that time set by Steve Johnson, and he's really giving it a good go.
Really loves this place, Alan Jones. Only 11th in this year's Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. Had a pretty inconsistent season, but there's never been any doubt about the speed of the Stone Brothers Ford. Beautifully prepared machine, runs as a sister car to the Mitre 10 Ford driven by Mark Larkham. Beautifully turned out and obviously working very well here during the week. Alan Jones, he really is driving this car hard. Sticks it over the white line as he comes through Castrol Curve. 180 kilometres an hour across the top of the mountain, just brushes the brakes, and look at that great shot from front on. You can see how hard that car's working.
There's no doubt about the aggression of Jonesy. I mean, if you see someone big, bad and nasty in the car, when he gets the hump, Jonesy is fast.
Qualified third last year. He is also out on a fresh set of tyres, as too was Stephen Johnson. So we saw that time that Steve put down at 2:11.62. We'll see how Alan's going.
Well, it's interesting. A lot of the Bridgestone runners choosing to go out in a brand new set. They reckon the new tyre gain with a fresh tyre is stronger than a scrub set. Mark Skate's going to try the same thing too. So interesting to see how the Bridgestone guys go in this critical top 10 runoff.
Alan Jones is running pretty similar time to Stephen Johnson down Conrod Straight.
It's in fact 0.2 of a second quicker to our timing point of Forest Elbow. So he's just a little bit quicker than Steve. Let's see if he can haul the mail down Conrod Straight. Braking hard from almost 290 kilometres an hour in that very short space of time. Brake temperatures reaching 800 degrees centigrade as they really ran that middle pedal home.
Well, funny, Mark, you mentioned 0.2 of a second. That was the exact time figure we mentioned not so long ago to bridge the gap between his time yesterday and Steve Johnson's this morning. Out of Murray's onto the main straight across the checkered flag. 2:11.23. Jones has done better than Stephen Johnson, so he now holds the quickest time.
How do you feel?
Well, happy. It's the quickest lap I've done all weekend, so it's a personal best, I guess, so I can't be happier than that.
Well, here is the defending champion, Gregg Murphy. Don't be deceived by the helmet. He is, in fact, wearing Craig Lowndes' helmet. Greg had a pretty hard accident yesterday, as the green flag is shown to him. Just coming out of Hell Corner, just about where he is in a couple of seconds' time. He just got high on the ribble strip. The back end went out right where he is now onto the sand, and he turned it around and backed it into the wall, and it slapped the wall very, very hard. He damaged his helmet, so he's wearing Lowndes' helmet for the top 10 shootout, but everything's all right with the car. Defending champs and 8th quickest from yesterday's qualifying.
Yeah, I feel a bit sorry for Murphy because he was really annoyed with himself. He just ran out really wide on the curb, just got on the grass, and it turned left into the barrier. Now, the difficult thing is for Murphy psychologically that whatever happens, he does not want to ding this car. And what you've got to bear in mind when you're going in qualifying, it's the last little fraction that makes the difference. You see there, comes out the cutting, there was plenty of room left on the outside there. So I think I'll be very, very surprised the Murph ends up with the pole position in the top 10 shootout. Do you understand what I mean? It just takes that little edge off of you.
Big crowd across the top of the mountain, giving a big cheer for Gregg Murphy. They've ridden with him all year, had some shocking luck with reliability with the Holden Racing Team car during the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. Keep in mind, Murphy and his young teammate Craig Lowndes are going for the double whammy. Oh, look at that!
Hang around.
The back of that car stepped right out as he brought it back into line through the dipper. Fantastic stuff, right on the limit. As he brings it down toward Forest Elbow, I'll check the split for you as he comes up against the two Fords. Well, he's quicker than both Johnson and Jones. 125.97 at the split, so he's hauling plenty of speed down the hill.
Gregg Murphy heading for a good one here. He really got out of jail, Barry, like you were saying yesterday, as much as he was disappointed. He got out of jail because he had that accident early in the qualifying session, and the time that he put down was good enough for him to stay and remain in the top 10.
Look, he's locking it up, you know, and there's me saying he's not going to be putting everything into it. He's very, very hard on himself, Murphy, and, you know, he's had a lot of bad luck, but I think he's too hard on himself. You know, he gives himself too much stick for making a mistake.
I think that little lock brake may have cost him some time coming down Caltex Chase. The stopwatch will tell the story. He brings it back onto pit straight. He gets the checkered flag, but he's still the fastest man. A 2:11.02. He's knocked off the two Fords. He moves into provisional pole.
Nerves because of yesterday, do you think?
I'd say so. I wasn't really thinking of it at the time, but I'm sure it comes into it somewhere along the line. You know, I really wanted to do a good lap and try and pay back for all the work the boys did last night. And most of it was pretty good. I was very happy with across the top. It was pretty fast, but definitely made a mistake down here, so it's cost us some time.
Well, there they are, the first three in the top 10 shootout. Murphy and Lowndes the quickest with a 2:11.02. Jones in second and Stephen Johnson in third. Stay with us on your home of motorsport. More of the top 10 shootout after this.
This is the Primus 1000 Classic on Network 10. Some 40,000 people up on the mountain for what should be a terrific weekend of racing. We've already seen some spectacular action. Now, 3 down, 7 to go in the top 10 shootout. The time to beat right now is Holden's Gregg Murphy of 2 minutes 11.0270. And of our remaining pole chasers, 5 are Holden's. And the better electrical Commodore of John Faulkner is up next.
John Faulkner, next man out on the track in the better electrical Commodore. He's got that rapid time. Gregg Murphy just outside the 10-second bracket, 2:11.02 for Murphy, and 0.15, I should say. So now John Faulkner signed to a great lap last year in the top 10 runoff. Trying to go one better this year.
There's the time to beat, 2:11.02, set by Gregg Murphy. John Faulkner really pumped up. He was 7th quickest yesterday, of course, teaming up as he did in the Sandown 500 with Great Britain's Wyn Percy. They proved to be a very successful combination at Sandown, picking up 4th. They were very happy. Of course, last year here, Faulkner was a privateer. He's now a level 1 runner. He's had a very successful year. Of course, he was top privateer. He's now up into the level 1 ranks and looking to do very well here at the Primus 1000.
45-year-old John Faulkner, originally from New Zealand. A lot of time in Oscar NASCAR racing, the Thunderdome down in Melbourne, now really concentrating his energies on the V8 supercar ranks as he swings across the top of the mountain. Look how hard the front end of that car's working, trying to get some temperature into the tyres on that critical warm-up lap to try and get maximum speed on this one. This is the one that counts. Getting away from those curves on the outside.
I was going to say, if you look at the amount of road that Faulkner's using, he's using nowhere near as much road as Jonesy or Murphy has.
When you look at the times, Gregg Murphy shaved 7/10 of a second off yesterday's time to the best time so far of a 2:11.02. Faulkner 2:11.48, so he needs to get close to half a second off his best time yesterday if he wants to do anything about Gregg Murphy's time.
Yeah, well, there's a full second down on Murphy at our split. Murphy was a 125.97 to Forest Elbow. Faulkner a 126.97, so he's dropped some speed on the Holden Racing Team car coming down the hill. Let's see if he can pick it up down the straight, grabbing the Rob Benson Chevy. Flat out, 290 Ks, braking hard for Caltex Chase. John Faulkner trying to move up the grid in the top 10 shootout.
Although he's a relatively new name to the world of V8 supercars. He's been around a long time. In fact, he's even been a class winner here at Bathurst, so he knows the circuit very, very well. One more corner and a bit of a squirt up to the checkered flag. He drifts out and gets very high on the ribble strip. Checkered flag is out. Faulkner has posted the third fastest time at 2:11.41, so better than Stephen Johnson, but not quite as good as Alan Jones and Gregg Murphy.
I think 11.4 is not a bad time out of this old bus. It's starting to get a bit old now. I think it's about time Brock gave me his next car, but it was a good lap. It's the best I could do on the day. We're a second faster than we were last year, but I think this level 1 status now, we're going to have to lift our game.
The Castrol Perkins Commodore, the next car out on the circuit, and it's Larry behind the wheel who will contest the top 10 shootout. The 6th fastest time yesterday with a 2:11.43. So there's almost a half a second to take off there if he wants to get the quickest time so far, if he wants to better Gregg Murphy's time of 2:11.02.
47-year-old Larry Perkins from Cowangie. He's born out the bush, now lives in Melbourne. 5 times the Bathurst winner, tremendously experienced driver. Made it all the way to Formula 1 back in the 1970s. He's driven just about everything there is, and he can certainly drive the wheels off this car. The brand new Castrol Commodore for this weekend. Larry also taking a punt, going out on shiny new tyres. The idea being that when the tyres are brand new in those first critical laps, the tyre produces more grip than it ever will in its useful racing life. So Larry Perkins taking a punt on getting this new sticker tyres to give him just that little bit of extra grip he needs to try and take pole.
It's interesting with the Dunlop run. The Dunlop runners are going out on new tyres. The Bridgestone so far, Jonesy, for example, he went out on scrub tyres. So don't forget, you're always going to get a difference with the temperature, the way the tyres heat up. You know, the Bridgestones maybe heat up quicker than the Dunlops do.
Fabulous shot there. The Castrol Commodore just gets his wheel up on the curbs using all the road. Larry Perkins has just about carved his own groove around this place. We go to Dunlop. Inboard camera with Larry Perkins, car 11, as he drops it down through the dipper. Maximum acceleration, firing down toward Forest Elbow. Very tricky part of the track, this. Car sliding across the road surface as they try and set it up back a gear. Full throttle as they come out of Forest Elbow for the best run down Conrod Straight.
Teamed up with his teammate all year in the last